Myself is Jeevan Mistry. Today I am going to teach a topic from locomotion and movement, that is skeletal system. Today we are going to see that how a complete skeletal system has 206 bones. Okay, if you talk about the adult human body, it has 206 bones, which is a part of the skeletal system, and this 206 bones can be classified as the two further systems. One part of the skeletal system is the axial skeletal system, and the other part is appendicular skeleton. Now, what is axial skeletal system? The bones or that skeletal system which is present at the axis of the body. So the axial skeletal system is the one which is present at the axis of the body. Okay, it will include your head, the vertebral column, and the ear ossicles. Okay, so let us classify this axial skeletal system further. Okay, so the axis of your body will have the skull, then the vertebral column, the ribs, and the sternum. These are the four parts of the axial skeletal system which can further be classified as, see, the skull in total will have 8 bones. Sorry, the skull total will have 29 bones. Okay, the vertebral column has 26 bones, the ribs will have 24 bones, and the sternum is just 1 in number. Okay, now these 29 bones of the skull can be distributed as the cranium, that is the box which protects the brain, then the facial bones, the ear ossicles, and the hyoid bone. This all will be included in the skull. Okay, coming to the number of bones. Cranium again is 8 bones, facial 14, ear ossicles 6, and 1 hyoid. We will see the distribution of all these bones one by one. How cranium comes to 8, facial 14, ear ossicle 6, and hyoid bone 1. Okay, so talking about the bones of cranium, as I said, cranium is the box which protects the brain. It is totally made up of 8 bones. Out of those 8, the first bone is the frontal bone. The bone which is present in the front, okay, the part of the forehead. It is 1 in number. It is an unpaired bone. The bone of the forehead will be the frontal bone. Behind the frontal bone are one pair of bone, 2 bones present, which is called as the parietal bone. Again, they are 2 in number, one on the left side and one on the right side. This parietal bone is larger in size as compared to all other bones and covers the major part of the cranium. Then comes the temporal bones. Again, 2 in number, present just behind the ears. Okay, so behind the ears bones present will be temporal, on the top is parietal, and on the front is the frontal. Now, below the parietal bones, the bone which comes is called as the occipital bone. It is again 1 in number. The fifth bone is the sphenoid bone, 1, and ethmoid bone. It is also 1 in number. Now the sphenoid and ethmoid bone, they are present in the base of the skull. Okay, so exact position cannot be seen from the outer side, but they form the base of the skull above which the complete brain tissue will be present. So the frontal bone is 1, parietal bone on the sides will be 2, temporal bones 2 behind the ears, each ear, occipital lobe bone is on the back side, sphenoid and ethmoid form the roof of the skull. So if you see, the total comes up to 8 bones in the cranium. These 8 bones are joined together with the help of sutures. Okay, if you see the connection between the 2 bones, you will see that they are connected with the help of sutures. This is one bone, this is the other bone. So the bone, the type of joint in the skull cranium is immovable joint. Okay, and the bones, they are connected together with the help of structures called as sutures. These sutures do not allow the individual bone of the cranium to move. Okay, so this bone total coming up to 8. Then the next bone of the skull is the facial bones. So let us see the number of facial bones. The second part of the skull that you will see includes the facial bones. Now total facial bones present are 14. Okay, the facial bones will include all the bones below the head and up to the jaw. Okay, so again, first bone that is found in the facial bones is the nasal bone. Now each side of your nose will have one bone, so nasal bones will be 2 in number. Now these nasal bones on the upper side, towards the upper side of these nasal bone, are separated by a bony septa, and that bone is called as a vomer bone, present 1 in number. So what we see is arrangement. If these 2 are the nasal bones, then the vomer bone is going to be present in between like this. So this bone is the vomer bone and these 2 are the nasal bones. Okay. In the inner foldings of the nasal bones, you will see the conky bones, which are again 2 in number, because each chamber of the nasal nostril or the nasal passage will have these folds, and these folds of the bones are called as conky, which are again 2 in number. Then comes the bones of the cheek, which are called as the zygomatic bones or the cheek bones. Again, 1 present on each side, so they are also 2 in number. Then comes the bone which is present just above the eye socket, or present part of the eye socket, which is protecting the eyeballs, which is called as the lacrimal bone. Now since there are 2 eye sockets, of course the number of lacrimal bones will be 2. Then there is a bone which is supporting the roof of the buccal cavity, okay, and that is called as the palatine bone. Again, since it is covering the upper jaw, it is protecting or present just above the upper jaw, it is arranged like this. There will be 2 palatine bones present just above the roof of buccal cavity. Then the bone of the upper jaw, which is maxillae, each half, 1 on this side and other on this side, so it also comes up to 2. And then comes the mandible, which is the lower jaw. The lower jaw consists of only 1 bone, it does not have 2 bones. Fine. So all these are the bones present in the facial bones, the total of which will come to 14. Okay. Next are the ear ossicles. Now, certain times it is considered that the skull has only 22 bones, because at that particular time only cranium and facial bones are taken into consideration, the total of which will come to 22. Ear ossicles and hyoid may be included in the skull part, or it can be also considered separately. Here we have included it in skull. So how do this ear ossicle come up to 6? Each ear is made up of 3 bones: malleus, incus and stapes. Right? Malleus is 1 in number, incus is also 1, and stapes is also 1 in number. All these 3 bones are present in each ear ossicle. 3. And since there are 2 ear ossicles present, one on the left, one on the right, so 3 plus 3 will come up to 6. So this is how the number of ear ossicles are 6. The arrangement of these bones is such that this malleus is basically hammer shaped bone. Okay. Attached to it will be the incus, which is anvil shaped. And finally comes the stapes, which is horseshoe shape. So this is how the arrangement takes place. Malleus, incus and stapes. In each ossicle 3 bones, 2 ear ossicles, so there will be 6 bones. And then comes the hyoid bone. Hyoid bone is said to be the bone of the skull where the tongue is attached. The posterior end of the buccal cavity has this U-shaped bone. Okay, to this U-shaped bone, the muscles of the tongue will be connected, and as a result, it is also called as the bone of the tongue. It is only 1 in number, right? So the cranium bones we had seen, they were 8, facial bones 14, ear ossicle 6 and 1 hyoid bone. The total of the bones in the skull will be 29. The next part of the exoskeleton that we will see are the ribs. Now, the ribs are basically total 24 in number, or you can say there are 12 pairs of ribs. Okay, the bones of the ribs they basically form the part of the chest bones. Okay, now the ribs, they are again of 3 types based on their arrangements. Okay, they are called as true ribs, false ribs and floating ribs. Now, how is the arrangement of ribs? Now, ribs, they are attached on the dorsal side with the vertebral column and on the front side with the sternum, the main chest bone or the breast bone. So, if we see the dorsal arrangement, we will see that this is the vertebral column on the dorsal side, and all the ribs, they are attached to the dorsal surface of the vertebral column with each vertebral column. This is how the arrangement will appear on the dorsal side. Now, if you see the same thing on the ventral side, these bones are attached to the sternum. This is how the ribs will appear on the ventral side, right? This is the sternum, to which ventrally the rib bones will be attached, and this is the vertebral column to which the ribs will be attached on the dorsal side. Now, when we see dorsally, the arrangement of ribs is very much clear. There are 12 ribs present. Of course, 12 pairs, 1 on the left and 1 on the right side. But the arrangement of these limbs changes when we observe it from the ventral side. The first 7 pair of ribs, these are called as the true ribs. Ribs of 1 to 7. The reason is they are attached to the sternum as well as vertebral column. Sternum के साथ they are attached on the ventral side and vertebral column के साथ जो है वो dorsal side पे attached है. इसीलिए उनको true ribs भी बोला जाता है, और they are also called as dorsoventral ribs, क्योंकि वो ventrally or